Hong Kong, gateway to China, the window of the world, a mega city with more than 8 million inhabitants and rising. A city of the superlative, glimmering skyscrapers that seem to take root in the sky. One elegant building after another, with shining glass and high-tech facades. Boom town of the 21st century, the skyline of this Asiatic metropolis is a combination of a flourishing economy and resolute functionality, with an ever-changing face. Nowhere else do both East and West exist in such peaceful coexistence. The modesty of Tao and Confucius, alongside mobile telephones and capitalism. Around 150 years ago, Hong Kong Island was under British colonial rule, and today only a few buildings of this period remain, such as St. John's Cathedral. The colony's first Anglican church was consecrated in 1852. However, its architects couldn't decide whether it should be of Gothic or Norman design. With its bell tower and elevated windows, the well-preserved cathedral is reminiscent of a museum piece set within a modern city. Hong Kong Park is a green oasis situated on a steep hillside above the central district. This is free from all the hubbub of the huge city below. It contains a variety of small ponds, waterfalls and fountains, and the feeding of the koi is always a popular event. The White Flagstaff House, former residence of the colony's British military commander, contains the Tea Museum that boasts an exceptional collection of exhibits associated with tea. The Hong Kong Tramway, that travels parallel with the northern coastline, also dates back to colonial times. It's ideal for sightseeing. Since 1904, these nostalgic narrow double-decker trams have travelled through the city's crowded streets and are the most convenient mode of transport for covering short distances. Of course, it has its own time-honoured protocol. Entry is at the rear. During the journey, passengers attempt to move forward, and when alighting, the fare is paid by throwing it into a box. Taking only 8 minutes, since 1888 the tram line has transported passengers to the top of the island's 544-metre high mountain, the Peak. After the adventurous journey, a futuristic-looking mountain station welcomes the passengers. Sacrificial platform or vantage point? There are numerous opinions of the Victoria Tower. From here, the view is truly breathtaking. The city's gigantic skyscrapers seem like toys, and there's a comprehensive view of the huge harbour. In the 19th century, the Peak was the favourite residential area with British colonials because the city districts were frequently rife with malaria and other tropical diseases. A narrow path leads around the world-famous Peace Mountain, passing small waterfalls and tropical vegetation. Most of the sightseeing tours around the harbour embark from Central Station close to the ferry terminal. The journey travels past Kowloon and several huge cruise ships that lie at anchor. The quantity of ships highlights the importance of this huge natural harbour. This has been a regular destination of European shipping and trade since the 16th century. Suddenly, the Tsing Ma Bridge appears, the world's longest chain link bridge. It connects Kowloon with Lantau Island and the new airport. A gigantic masterpiece designed by world-famous architect Sir Norman Foster. It's 2.2 kilometres long and has a road and railway line. The journey travels past the largest and most modern cargo harbour in the world, an important centre of international shipping. The glass facades of Hong Kong Island's skyline shine out in the light of the afternoon. This is a city full of contrast. The Manmo Temple dates back to the Hong Kong of bygone times. A well-known Chinese pirate donated it in 1842. It is dedicated to two gods. Man, the god of literature, who controls both sun and moon, and Mo, the red-faced god of war, who is responsible for the mountains and rivers. There are around 600 temples in Hong Kong. Most of them date back to the last century. They are relatively plain buildings and contain only one room. Buddhist and Taoist deities are frequently worshipped side by side, their most important ability being to answer prayers. They are places of both prayer and sacrifice. The first British post office still exists here today, in front of huge skyscrapers. The city's zoo is relatively small, but along with its botanical garden, it's well worth a visit. It's located on the steep slopes of Victoria Peak, contains all kinds of wildlife, including monkeys and flamingos, and there's no entrance fee. To research the local flora, the British created botanical gardens in each of their colonies. This one contains around 600 varieties of plant. Inaugurated in 1871, this garden with its large fountain is a popular attraction with those from the city. Although not as large as it used to be, the city of junks known as Aberdeen has provided the backdrop for many a motion picture. but it's still a good place to buy fresh fish, fruit and vegetables. Hong Kong's small harbour is best explored by boat. Much of it has been filled in and thus little of it remains. Just a narrow canal. There's always a fascinating variety of huge ships loaded with golden Chinese kitsch. Today, few boat people anchor here on their houseboats. Most of them have been resettled in nearby apartment blocks. Times have changed. Ocean Peak was built on a nearby promontory, a huge entertainment park with replicas of dinosaurs and real pandas. There's also a butterfly house with detailed explanations of the different varieties. Each day, the park features numerous bird performances and other entertainments. Next, there's a journey by cable car to the top of a hill and a magnificent view of Hong Kong. And yet another entertainment park, with a big wheel, roller coaster and panoramic views across the southern China Sea. Repulse Bay is a bathing beach on the southern coast of the island, a haven of relaxation, swimming and surfing. Both Somerset Maugham and Graham Greene wrote novels here. Repulse Bay's Tin Hau Temple is well known and extremely popular. The tutelary gods of fishermen and seafarers protects those on the beach. Legend has it that Tin Hau was the daughter of a poor Chinese fisherman. She wanted to journey abroad, but was refused by various seafarers. However, a fisherman with a small boat gave in to her pleas. Suddenly there was a violent storm that sunk all the larger vessels and only the girl survived. A miracle. Hong Kong Island possesses many faces and much mystique. Here dreams are commonplace and each one is protected by the gods. Kowloon is a peninsula on the southern coast of China. Both night and day, cruise ships and ferry boats are moored alongside Kowloon Pier, opposite the city's world-famous skyline. The clock tower rises up like a relic of bygone times. The railway journey from London to China once ended here. Within the Wong Tai Sin Temple, the city's largest temple, Each day, thousands of the faithful seek good fortune in romance and betting, with prayers and sacrifices. The temple's god is known to have a sympathetic ear for one and all. Thus the temple is a popular attraction, and fortune-telling, palmistry and facial interpretation are also available. The temple underlines how much religion influences the daily life of the people. The Taoist temple is both a place of worship and meeting place. Among the modern skyscrapers is a new park, Kowloon Park, with small ponds, tiny waterfalls, and an exotic totem forest. An oasis of tranquility amid the indescribable clamour of the traffic and people of Tsim Shat Tsui. Here it's easy to forget what lies outside. Sculpture Garden provides artists with the opportunity of exhibiting their work to the general public. Art al fresco. The Qilin Nunnery is the city's most recent religious building. It was completely restored and was inaugurated in 2002. Due to its poor condition, the main sections of the building had to be rebuilt. From dusk till dawn, there's constant hustle and bustle. It seems that everyone wants to experience the atmosphere of a monastery of bygone times. North of the Kowloon Peninsula is one of Hong Kong's less familiar areas, the New Territories. Lo Wai Village is one of the region's last fortified villages. For several centuries, those living here settled around the city's first harbour. They consisted of clans and lived in separate villages. Assembly halls were used by the clans for their most important meetings. These building complexes usually comprised 3 halls and 2 courtyards. The roofs were adorned with decorative carvings. The ancestors of the deceased were honoured with a special place within the 3rd hall because ancestral worship has always been an important part of Chinese belief. In 736, the Tin Hao Temple was built for the goddess of the sea near to the village of Tai Po because it was believed that she protected the local fishermen while at sea. Close by is an extraordinary tree, the wishing tree. Here the faithful write their wishes on red paper, tie their messages to oranges or apples, and finally throw it into the branches of the tree. High on a small hill is the impressive Chuk Lam Shim Yuen Monastery, surrounded by a wonderful forest of bamboo. This is the location of the city's 3 largest golden Buddha statues. The sacred figures shine brightly to allure the faithful. Various private sacrificial ceremonies take place throughout the day. The ferryboat trip goes to Lantau Island, an island of tranquility. From Mui Wo, we travel by bus across the hilly island. Our destination is Tai O, a small village whose inhabitants still earn their living from fishing and where every other shop offers dried fish and shrimp paste. We travel by small fishing boat through canals that flow into the sea and are flanked on each side by houses on stilts that tower above the muddy water. The people here are believed to be the ancestors of the Yue, the first prehistoric settlers of this region, the seafaring people of the Tanka. Next, we travel into the mountains by bus. A more beautiful location for a Buddhist monastery is hard to imagine. High up in the mountains is the Po Lin Monastery, remote, peaceful, and with an extensive view across the island and the sea. On its uppermost level, bronze female figures offer various gifts to the Tian Tan Buddha. This, the largest Buddha statue in the world, is 26 meters high and weighs 200 tons. The large monastery complex has several magnificent prayer halls, and more than 100 Zen Buddhist monks and nuns live here. The Monastery of the Precious Lotus contains lotus fountains and koi. Finally, we return to the harbour and the ferry returns its passengers to this colourful city of intriguing contrasts. The world-famous skyline of Hong Kong Island is a welcome sight, even with all of its constant noise. A final view down the peak. The setting sun adds a special gloss to the glimmering South Chinese Sea, and the skyscrapers appear as tiny illuminated dolls' houses. Life in Hong Kong seems to run at a faster pace than in any other city in the world, and its engine is powered by the diligence of its inhabitants. Within this city of dreams and Asiatic flair, there are 8 million people. Hong Kong, the fine-smelling harbour, is one of the most exciting cities in the world.